Raka. Hope all is well with everybody. Seeing how I can do this, I got YouTube and got Instagram at the same time, but recording on different devices. So as you already know, I'm gonna do a sound check because I am by myself, and let's do that to make sure that everything, make sure everybody can hear right. Facebook, you might be left out if I don't stop the Instagram, or I could try to run it on another device, or you could just be already here like you're supposed to. You know how that goes. We gonna mess with you one way or another. Sound check. You know how that goes. We gonna mess with you one way or another. All right, so we seem to be fairly coming along. Now, alleged case of the Cathode-Vat-I-Can on Instagram is the End Games Part 3 proficiency. Definitely Facebook is familiarized with that proficiency. We was in that with Aaron Bush, Elizabeth De Los Santos, I myself, but first and foremost, the Ru'ah-Sheh. So now what I'm gonna do here is take the tablet, since I know we're coming on strong on YouTube. I'm gonna take tablet and try to post it up, where it won't get in the way, so Facebook don't feel, left out, So we got 3 different devices. Bear with me. StreamYard, folks, that's really on YouTube. Y'all not gonna really know what I'm talking about, but Instagram and Facebook, they will. All right, so here I am. Let me hit the live button. See? Live within a live. All right. You add stay, bam, you hit the present, hit shared screen, bam. Now y'all get to see behind the works what BC really be doing. All you hear is click, 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 click if I'm not muted. All right, this is what we're gonna get into. All right, if everything just work out the way it's supposed to. You know how that does. This is what we're going through. All right. Now let me check my Wi-Fi again. I'm gonna tell on it. See? Y'all see what it say? Now, if I have any problems, it jumped on its own. Look at that. Y'all see that, right? Because I be doing that while we be live, and then I go look at it, and I never see this box. So y'all think I'll be crazy or lying when I say, see my strong signal? See how it is? But y'all never see that part. I said, but now you do. So I get to tell on it. Every time I tell on it, it start acting right. Remember that number I be showing y'all? I be like, yo, it said it's showing 3 people or 0. Well, I'm still sitting and seeing y'all comments. That's what I be talking about. All right, enough of that. Just showing Facebook and Instagram how we be having problems. But then when I say I don't get to see y'all comments, and I say I'm going to another screen, bam. Now y'all know I ain't lying. All right, so I'll be totally blind. All right, so let's get down to business. All right, CBC be doing a lot. When you be on that stream, y'all, boy, be like the world news for real. We talked about things such as the end times, the good Lord coming. I know, right? A timeline. BC, you shouldn't say timeline. Well, if that's what the Spirit say, hell, the Holy Spirit gonna be a liar, not me. I'm attached to the Holy Spirit saying what it say. I'm third dairy information. All right. So the mediator and then the creator, them to be the problem. All right. So since we know they don't lie, well, that shuts that up, doesn't it? Now we talked about 2023, 2024, a lot of death. All this stuff was like 10 years ago. Then we registered everybody's mind in 2020. Before that, 2017, sell your churches. And people was laughing at me. They ain't laughing now. I wish you Colleen Lyons Ferrara sold her whole house to someone else less fortunate. Call hell about it. Then it immediately was Baraka with a whole nother house. And keep on being Baraka till this day as I speak. So, I mean, I know Auntie Colleen Lyons Ferrara, 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years now. So, and counting, I check on her every now and then and see what's popping. She's still doing good. Now, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let's get down to where others talk like us.
100% euros, no more kuna. And it was pre-COVID and then post-COVID that we went. And everything had doubled in price, doubled. So the restaurant owners were talking about they were pissed because they had to pay agreement in the Eurozone where the squid I could have got in a 100% be sourced from around that region, or even in Italy. It had to be equally distributed. So if they had shrimp and squid, it was coming from a place like Spain and Portugal. They had to ship it all the way across the EU to get it over to Croatia. So it makes no sense. You know, they're talking about green agenda and this, but they make you buy products artificially to stimulate the economy of another Eurozone nation. Then you have to artificially import their product. It just doesn't make sense. So everything was double in the price, double. So imagine America going 100%. What would that do to our economy? That was the thing. And then I went to Japan. And before, when I was in Japan, the exchange rate was 100 to 1. And this time it was 148 or 152 because we took money out and the exchange rate was on there and I was just shocked. So their currency devalued 50%. Can you imagine the American dollar devaluing 50% of whatever you buy is twice as expensive? Or another way to look at it, your dollar only buys half of what it did just weeks ago. And then on the way back, we went to Hungary. And Hungary is experiencing 10% food inflation per month. So we arrived in April, at the middle of April, and they were saying that since the beginning of the year, 40% increase. And then when we were there, they're saying, absolutely, next month's going to be 10%. So they're looking at 50% food inflation. So imagine at the end of the year, that'd be 1.2 times higher if it stays on the same trajectory. It really made me think about, all right, what if that happens here? Those three scenarios are all in play in other countries around the world. So think about role play it. What would that do to our country if any of those scenarios were to happen? And then you could go up on your different, spokes of a wheel and say, if they did, this could happen. Again, it comes down to the food. The food is a weapon, the inflation. Control the resource, control the populace.
So yeah, I went to Durango. I worked in Durango, which is about 65 miles away. So I was driving about an hour and 15 minutes each way. During the process, I managed to, I had a wild turkey flying in my windshield. It was like a cannonball. And I had a deer run into me. I mean, it's a pretty sketchy stretch of road. But the reason I bring this up is it would cost me to go to work by the time I went and got lunch, if I didn't pack my lunch, it cost me $40-50. You're literally out. If you want to go get just like a plain latte with a couple shots of espresso and some milk or some oat milk, it's now $8 plus $2 tip, so $10. If you want to get a turkey sandwich, literally a turkey sandwich, not the wild turkey that runs in your window, but if you want to get a turkey sandwich or a sandwich at Jimmy John's, it's $10-11. By the time you add a bag of chips and a drink, you're out $15. If you want it delivered, you're out $20 for a sandwich and a bag of chips. So, I mean, hasn't it already kind of doubled out here, man? It's freaking nuts. It cost me $50 just to go to work a day. It's crazy. And 2.5 hours on top of the podcast.
The time. You need to start having a little camera so you can talk while you're driving. I see a lot of people do that. They try to take advantage of that time, consolidating thoughts in the car. So what did you think of it going back out into the world again and seeing people and dealing with like people coming in and you're trying to overcome their objections and, walking through?
Well, I mean, when somebody coming in
people like these more, I can't, for me, that whole office setting and thing again, I don't know.
Well, I didn't think I'd be able to do it either. But luckily, I was at a 20,000 square foot furniture store with 2 stories, and I only had to deal with a couple of salespeople, and so I could just run around the store all day, and with my running shoes on, really, I would help customers out. I'd run upstairs, and people. Me and I love them. It was great. It's a great experience, and I met a lot of really cool people. I'll tell you, but I'm thinking about it. If it wasn't like that, like if I had to go into a certain setting where I had to be around a bunch of other people constantly, or if the environment was a little different, it would have been a lot more difficult for me. I mean, that in and of itself was difficult for me, and I was really good at it in just a few months. I mean, April ever with me there in April. So, but the whole time I'm there, I'm like, this isn't my passion, My passion is helping people, creating content, talking about the world, and helping be the change the world needs to see, right? Unlocking doors, unlocking ideas. We're all talking about what's going on right now, which is wild. And I don't know. So I think something big is going to happen May 18th. Whether or not it's good or bad or, I don't know. But something big is going to happen. And the Vatican is actually releasing a update on supernatural contact the 17th, the day before. I thought that was pretty interesting. Supernatural contact guidelines by the Vatican.
The planets are lining up. They're going to square themselves. This gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are going to be into a near perfect square October 24 of 2024, like just months from now. This square formation has not been seen since 79 AD. We have the sun, the earth, and the 4 gas giants electromagnetically intertwining. So what happens when the earth comes through? Are we going to have abilities that suddenly raise 10x where we can actually intuitively feel or know what people are thinking? Or why are all these superhero shows and movies come out over the last 10 years? Are they preparing your mind, reprogramming you to understand that people have telepathy, instant manifestation capabilities, instantaneous creation of fire, superhuman strength or superhuman speed? I mean, what happens when we come into a different electromagnetic field? That, I think, is the game changer, and one of the reasons that we're seeing all of this political destruction, economic destruction, societal destruction is they need an interference pattern in there where people are so busy, so distracted, so distraught, caught up in this like mashing fear ball that they don't understand that their abilities have uprisen where they can actually use them to a different extent now and uproot this darkness that pervades our planet. Brain, you could probably short circuit that perception change of the world, or the bending or morphing of what we would consider the matrix at a faster speed than usually thought does, with action and goals, like you say. I think they're racing against a time clock here, and the October event is what it is that you're seeing, I'm feeling, I see it in the heavens. Everything's racing toward that with all these like mini steps in between. So you ask yourself, why is the economy collapsing? Why now? They could have done this at any time. They could reset the BRICS nations. They were ready to go many years ago. Why wait now? That's the whole thing. Why now this year? All this could have been done years and years ago. Cryptocurrency was the same. Do you think the computing capacity, we didn't have that in like 1990? To run blockchain, to run Bitcoin, we had the computer power. We had the contract writing capability. No one ever came up with it. Until when? The birth of Bitcoin. Why then? Oh, for this transition period now, when we're getting into CBDCs, they've already programmed your mind. A lot of people understand crypto now. But what are the chances of all of these parallel narratives and parallel things that need to change on a dime are all in play right now up to this year? So what's coming at the end of the year?
HSE-TV.
War this, alien invasion that, Trump card this, what planet's bent. But what if it truly is the electromagnetic frequency from our sun's changing? The potentiality of that drift is out to the outer planets, and we go right through the center of that. Even if it's a day, maybe it's two, maybe it's just an hour, maybe it's a second, but whatever turns on or whatever abilities we're, imagine if we go through that for 3 straight days. Maybe that's the 3 days of darkness they reference is all the programming, the narrative that you've ever had built in your entire life evaporates and disappears for those days in a different electromagnetic field. And you see the world for what it is truly, those leaders, what they look. You can see their dark auras. You can see the evil in them. Once you saw that, you could never unsee it, ever. And the world will absolutely change those days. So why are they so hell-bent on stopping everybody from having conversations about these important issues, and you're not allowed to see things anymore on media? What is it that they're trying to, I look at that statue where it's like this and cover everything. So you're going to go blindly marching through this. I don't know. It's the best way I can explain it. This event's coming. They know it. A lot of people know it. It's the intuitive feeling and all these other steps in between it, like this May 18th thing.
Well, you think that the October 4th alignment of the 4 large...
24th.
Okay, so October 24th, that the way that the planetary bodies will be aligned in conjunction with the Earth, you see that being a day that will literally like activate people?
No activation. It is what it is. It's just the capabilities of our brains to perceive reality differently. That functionality of whatever it is, those interconnections. You're going to see more, you're going to hear more. Maybe out of the sides of your eyes, the auditory range should raise a little bit. And people are going to behave a little bit differently.
I remember you talking about this date a couple of years ago even. You're saying...
Same date.
Yeah,
same date.
Right. So clearly this is something that's been on your mind for quite some time. And I would like to know more about that. So why do you think that because of the way that the planetary bodies will be located, that it's going to change the electrical field enough on the planet basically to create this new understanding almost, or seeing things like you said? I'm thinking of the film They Live, but without the sunglasses. Like people aren't going to need the sunglasses. And as you said, once you see that, it's a lot difficult to unsee it, if even possible. Maybe years of hypnosis, I don't know, but being sarcastic here, your thoughts?
That's true. Yeah, that was a better way to sum it up. I didn't even think of using that example. That's right. That's exactly right. Like the perceptions, the way you perceive it, like all those control systems that have held us down. You have to think about the Vatican in the 1400s, since you were talking Vatican. Like the control system the Vatican used to control society at that point, would that work today? Of course not. nobody would accept it. It's too barbaric. It's too this, it's too that. There's no way. That's old school. That's so ancient. It wouldn't even exist in the vibratory pattern. You couldn't hold state. That's the whole thing. It couldn't hold state. That control mechanism today is so dark and heavy that it can't exist because the frequency field won't let it exist.
So, a liar shall not cherish in the Most High sight. Ain't that what it says? So, in actuality, what are we saying? You already know you live in the matrix. I mean, that's not that hard to grasp. But what really is hard to grasp is the truth. It's stranger than fiction, but cannot be accepted. The truth, TikTok, YouTube, is stranger than fiction. One would love to graft to a lie than when the gospel reveals itself through nature.
Yes. We're doing the exact same thing as we move to this new frequency ourselves here. So these systems that used to control us are no longer valid. That's why we're moving to central bank digital currencies with the economy. That's why they're moving to the track and moving to the doors. They need to. The vibratory field's moving upwards, so these new systems that vibrate faster, they're almost instantaneous, need to catch up. They're trying to pre-place it, so we're going to rise up into that, and it'll capture us again once more. I see nothing but cycles again and again. Now, these cycles come around every 400 years or so. You think that weather systems upsetting and changing is just random happenstance in this exact same year that the currency is changing, governments are collapsing, world war on the cusp, and all this is happening in the same exact trajectory and timeline on this same year. That's insane too, that you can't just sit there and look at all these things happening in unison and it's just because what? Like the noticeable weather changes now are so far beyond anybody getting explained away from CO2. Now they're starting to get a little scared of weather. The size of the hail, the winds, just the rains, the record rains, and the floods, and the biblical just rivers from the sky. Right now, on top of all of this, control the masses, man. Control the masses through a natural cycle that you know is going to upset society and rip it shreds anyway for civilization. Take me through it. How would you control them? We're starting to see it now, and you would know. We're right here. You can no longer mask it. We're at the point now where the crop losses are going to be coming this year. Brazil was the final kingpin that just got knocked out. That was the supplier for everybody else. You're going to watch the things happen in the markets this year, too. Food's going to be a number one story at the end of the year. So you can't hide it anymore. I'm just trying to make the point. Now control the populace.
You know, I mean, if you have another way that you could control things would be time. So if you could find a way to take a long nap, maybe a year, maybe 50 years, but not age, like a cryogenic type chamber, then imagine the influence you could have if you if you planted all the seeds for that time, and then you wake up afterwards. That would be something that I find fascinating as far as control goes. But let's talk about this for a minute. We're going to take this a little deeper, because when I go back, even just as a kid growing up, a lot of the stuff that we talk about now, I knew. I was talking about it when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was a young adult. And I don't know how I knew about a lot of this stuff, because it just kind of came to me. But one of the theories that I had and still do is the powers that be know about the cycle timeline. Like there's a certain code that if you are a part of particular bloodlines and you have to be a part of a particular order of that bloodline even, then you might be given this knowledge of timelines, when events take place. And if you can influence time by not aging as much or by living longer through genetics, then you could see these unfold. And it appears to me the most...
Now, since they're trying to keep the old construct, right? and how your genetics understand that, yo, this mess is not what it is. The scriptures say, whatever I put into a man's heart, so shall it be, right?
Released a document with updates on
This is
how
Leak
to communicate
Project,
with the
y'all.
supernatural and what the supernatural is and how to discern the supernatural. It's quite fascinating. It's a pretty detailed document that is several pages of like lawyer talk. So I picked through it and share some of the data with you. I find it very interesting because especially the timing, is there going to be a merger of supernatural and interdimensional, possibly extraterrestrial? Will there be attempts to merge it all together? Or is it all just swamp gas from Uranus? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Buckle up, Buttercup. Introduction to go down to number 6. Nevertheless, occasionally phenomena occur that seem to exceed the bounds of ordinary experiences and present themselves as having a supernatural origin. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. He's in his 80s and he's still kicking butt and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, he can work out longer, and has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this just by making one change. He says that he feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she says she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/leak or by clicking the link that's pinned in the video description box. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/leak. Click the link in the video description box to watch the video now. You won't believe how simple it is. Just a reminder, legendary Chuck Norris is a whopping 81 years old, and yet he has more energy than me. He discovered he could create dramatic changes to his health simply by focusing on 3 things that sabotage our body as we age. Watch his method by clicking the link in the description box, chuckdefense.com/leak. Such as alleged aberrations, visions, interior or exterior locutions, writings, or messages, phenomena related to religious images, and psychophysical phenomena. Speaking accurately about such occurrences can surpass the capabilities of human language. With the advent of modern means of communication, these phenomena can attract the attention of many believers or cause confusion among them. Since news of these events can spread very quickly, the pastors of the church are responsible for handling these phenomena with care by recognizing their fruits, purifying them of negative elements, or warning the faithful about potential dangers arising from them. What you need to know about new Vatican norms on supernatural phenomena. Read all about it, National Catholic Register, or you can go directly to Vatican.va and you can read norms for proceeding in the discernment of alleged supernatural phenomena. God is present and active in our history. The Holy Spirit, who flows from the heart of the risen Christ, works in the church with divine freedom and offers us many valuable gifts that aid us on the path of life and encourage our spiritual growth in fidelity to the gospel. This action of the Holy Spirit can also reach our hearts through certain supernatural occurrences, such as apparitions or visions of Christ or the Blessed Virgin and other phenomena. This is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with me. Hit that bell so you'll get all notifications. Hopefully you will anyway. And also check us out on Patreon for exclusive content. Now, this proceeding, this doctrine of the faith directly from the Vatican is fascinating because people have talked about their own personal experiences that appear to be supernatural. This has been happening since the beginning of time. I've had experiences. I have friends and family that have had experiences. So it's interesting to see what the Vatican has to say about the supernatural. Many times these events have led to a great richness of spiritual fruits, growth in faith, devotion, fraternity, service. In some cases, they have given rise to shrines throughout the world that are at the heart of many people's popular piety today. What life and beauty the Lord sows beyond our human understanding and procedures. The norms for proceeding in the discernment of alleged supernatural phenomena that we now present here are not intended to control or even less stifle the spirit. In fact, in the best cases involving events of alleged supernatural origin, the bishop is encouraged to appreciate the pastoral value of the spiritual proposal and even to promote its spread. St. John of the Cross recognized the lowliness, deficiency, and inadequacy of all the terms and words used in this life to deal with divine things. Indeed, no one can fully express God's inscrutable ways. The saintly doctors, no matter how much they have said or will say, can never furnish an exhaustive explanation of these figures and comparisons. Since the abundant meanings of the Holy Spirit cannot be caught in words, for the way to God is as hidden and secret to the senses of the soul are the footsteps of one walking on water, imperceptible to the senses of the body. Indeed, since he is the supernatural artificer, he will construct supernaturally in each soul the edifices he desires. At the same time, in some events of alleged supernatural origin, there are serious critical issues that are detrimental to the faithful. In these situations, the church must respond with utmost pastoral solicitude. In particular, I am thinking of the use of such phenomena to gain profit, power, fame, social recognition, or other personal interests, even possible extending to the commission of gravely immoral acts, or the use of these phenomena as means of or pretext for exerting control over people or carrying out abuses. When considering such events, one should not overlook, for example, the possibility of doctrinal errors and oversimplification of the gospel message, or the spread of a sectarian mentality. Finally, there is the possibility of believers being misled by an event that is attributed to a divine initiative, but is merely the product of imagination, desire for novelty, tendency to fabricate falsehoods, or inclination toward lying, mythomania. Therefore, in its discernment in this area, the church needs clear procedures. The norms regarding the manner for proceeding in our discernment of presumed apparitions or revelations in use until now were approved by Pope St. Paul VI in 1978, more than 4 decades ago. They remained confidential until they were officially published in 2011, 33 years later. 33 years later, interesting. The recent revision after the 1978 norms were put into practice, however, it became evident that decisions took an extensively long time, sometimes spanning several decades. In this way, the necessary discernment often came too late. The revision of the 1978 norms began in 2019 and involved various consultations envisioned by the then Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. During the subsequent 5 years, several proposals for revision were made, but all were considered inadequate. As you can see right here, November 16, 2023, it was acknowledged that a comprehensive and radical revision of the existing draft was needed. With this, the dicastery prepared a new and entirely reconsidered draft that clarified the roles of the bishop and the
dicastery.
Is that really how it's said? Dicastery?
Dicastery. Dicasteries.
Oh my gosh, it's worse than I said it. Dicastery. I'm just going to say it like that. If I'm saying it wrong, you can correct me. Dicastery. Okay, so let's go back. In the Congresso of the Dicastery on 16th of November 2023, it was acknowledged that a comprehensive and radical revision of the existing draft was needed. With this, the Dicastery prepared a new and entirely reconsidered draft that clarified the roles of the
Diocesan.
Diocesan. Okay, there we go. Reconsidered draft that clarified the roles of the diocesan bishop and dicastery. The new draft underwent review in a consulta ristretta on 4 March 2020.
So there you have it, folks. YouTube. I'm BC the Tishvite, BC the Vet Group, Braca, Roberto, Braca, Holy Spirit filled, Sister Melanie Lane Hot. That is Leap Project, as I promised y'all on Facebook. I was going to bring back, and look what the Lord did. ASAP. I forgot, but the Spirit never forgets nothing. Braka Angel rolling. Ain't forgot me and you gonna come on and talk about that silly pitty ditty. I gotta find some time. It'll probably be this evening. Braka unto you. Well, YouTube, until we meet again. Shalom.